Hey everybody, Sirturmund here again. So today, as you can see in the screen, I'm bringing you my last reaction video, where today we react to Annie, the cards that we reveal with Annie, and then the variety day from Saturday. Now, before I move on and start with Annie, I just want to say, tomorrow my plan is to do with the last patch, where we're going to do a patch breakdown video, and we're also going to give you guys anywhere between 10 to 15 new decks to try out in the new patch. So if there's any combination of champions or any ideas that you want us to showcase tomorrow, you can drop a comment below in the video and we can see, how we can accommodate it. For example, if, a really basic one is going to be Jane plus Annie, right? So I'm really going to be covering a deck based around Jane plus Annie, playing a single deck. But if there's any other crazy ideas that you have or any other pairing, especially with the new champions, I really appreciate to hear it so that we can look into it and potentially have have your idea be showcased in the video tomorrow. But anyways, aside from that, let's actually start what we came to do here. So we're gonna come here now. Today we're gonna be reacting to Annie and her support card. So let's start with that. So Annie is a 1 mana 0/2. Before I even read anything, by the way, 0/2 means that she's like, the 2 health is nice, but the fact that she has 0 attack does mean that she's not going to be a good blocker into like some aggro stuff. So, just keep that in mind there. Like, you won't be able to just sacrifice her or trade her for something in your defense turn. So Annie, she has a skill on attack. I deal 2 damage to my blocker. If he's dead or gone, I deal 2 damage to the enemy nexus instead. So this is pretty much like 6. So this is like 6 set on a 1-drop unit and less health, less attack. Wow. Wow. Okay. Level up. I seen you play 6 fast, slow, all skills. Okay, so Annie herself can Annie's skill can level her up herself. And when she levels up, she becomes a 1/3, obviously, so +1/+1. When you level up, create Tivers in hand. Attack. I deal 3 damage to my blocker and stun it. If he's dead or gone, I deal 3 damage to the enemy nexus instead. Okay. Let me go back a little bit. I said she's like 6, but I forgot. Level 1 6 only does 1 damage to the blocker. And level 2 6 is the one that does 2. So this has the ability of level 2 6, which is crazy. So right off the bat, before we even look at Tivers and what Tivers does, this is telling me Annie is going to be a staple in a lot of aggro and burn decks. Just because of her skill alone, being able to push so much damage into the enemy nexus or being able to get rid of blockers. Think about 6, right? Remember when Bando City was released, we had 6 Poppy. So Bando City Nexus being one of the most ridiculous aggro burn decks out there. And 6 never leveled up in that deck. The whole point with 6 is that you had a really big 3-drop unit that had 3 attack, 4 health, and could always deal at least 1 damage to the Nexus, which is pretty good. Obviously, this is a little bit different because if the opponent blocks the Annie, you're not dealing the damage to the Nexus. It's more like Talia, right? In that regards, you only deal either to the unit or to the Nexus. Not like 6 that you're dealing both to the unit and to the Nexus. But right off the bat, she's going to be an aggro tool. As a 1-drop especially, like, it's so nice to include her in any aggro and burn deck that I think that's going to be her main thing. And then you're going to be able to kind of experiment a little bit with her on some control archetypes, whether it's with Jane or Swain or other sort of controls that can start taking advantage of the other stuff that she does. So let's really quick look at Tivers so that we get an idea of what she does when she levels up. So Tivers is a 6 mana 5/5 with Fearsome that when you play him, you stun an enemy, then deal 2 to all stun or damage enemies. So if there's a bunch of stun enemies or a bunch of damage enemy, you can deal 2 to all of them. So it's kind of like a worse avalanche. I said that it's only hitting one side. Obviously, you can guarantee that you can hit 2 on a single enemy because you stun when Tiber comes down. You also have Fearsome, so you can always stun like the Fearsome blocker and try to push that damage with Tivers. It sounds okay. It's a decent token, right? Especially because you don't have to main deck it. That's the big thing, right? You don't main deck it Tivers, you just get it for free by just leveling up Annie, which can be pretty good. So, looking at Tivers and her level up, and this is the skill, by the way. So, this is a skill which she deals 2 to the blocker, or instead deals to the Nexus. Obviously, she can stun here as well. So, obviously, with the stun stuff, there's 2 champions that really stand yes with stuns: Yasuo and Jhin. And I think Annie is meant to be paired with Jen. Um, because of all the value that you can get, not only do they have very similar like level up conditions, right? Where she wants to see like all this fast, slow, or skills being activated, and Jin is also kind of relying a lot on like a lot of different skills. So right off the bat, I think that's gonna be the main takeaway pairing. Uh, with Yasuo, you probably rather just play Jin instead of Annie, because Annie only stuns once she's leveled up, so you can be a little bit more awkward than doing that. I just can't get it out of my head though that Annie's gonna be more prevalent like an aggro deck. However, just like six, right? So you have six Poppy, then you have six Nar, but you also have six Thalia, right? So you have six being like a very good aggro tool, but you also have six being like a combo piece, like he's supposed to be, right? I can see Annie being the same way, where she has two decks. She's gonna have one deck that's just pure aggro, so it's gonna be Naxos plus something else, whether it's Naxos plus Jin or Naxos plus, I don't know, Shadow Owls, Naxos plus Bilgewater, etc. You're gonna have like Annie there, and then you're also gonna have an Annie combo deck that's just gonna rely more on the control tools, whether it is with Annie Jin again, or even using stuff like Annie Swain, right? Because she is dealing 2 damage every time, so that's gonna add up to level up the Swain very quickly. And you have some stun tools, etc. So I could see it either way. But I definitely think she's gonna have 2 decks. It might just be a while for people to really figure out how to build Annie on that more control archetype that she wants. So then let's kind of move on to some of her supporting cards. So the first one is Disintegrate, which is also her champion spell. Disintegrate is a 2-mana fast spell. Pick a unit. Next time it takes damage this round, kill it. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say. I can't say that it's a 2-mana vengeance because it does require you to have another card or something else to do damage to the unit, right? So it's not just like vengeance that can just kill a unit by itself. But this is like a reverse Scorched Earth when you think about it. Obviously, it won't hit landmarks, but instead of having to wait for the unit to be damaged and then doing Scorched Earth or Flock, you can preemptively put this, and when you damage the unit, they die. Now, when is this powerful? Well, the power of this card to me, and why I think this card is really, really good, is because of the fact that the opponent's always going to have to start thinking about it now when they play against Naxos. Because this is any damage that they take. So it's not just damage from other spells, but also damage from you blocking their units or you attacking and they blocking into you. So what does that mean? Let's say that you're going against Pantheon and they have like a big 10-10 Wounded Wildling and they attack into you. You block with a little 1/1 spider, put the Disintegrate on the stack, and that means that the Disintegrate will trigger. And when the Wounded Wildling hits your spider and the spider hits back, that Wounded Wildling is gonna die. That's crazy. That's the type of value that I'm thinking of when I think of this card. Especially being a champion spell is so good. Because like sometimes you might not even need to main deck it. Just having it alone as a champion spell from Annie is probably one of the best champion spells in the game. Because he also synergizes with Annie, right? Let's say that you're attacking with Annie and the opponent blocks with like a big unit. You can do Disintegrate. And because Annie's skill triggers after the Disintegrate, it means that you will automatically kill the unit in front of you right away with the Annie dealing 2 to the blocker, which is so good. I think this spell is nuts, and I can see it being a really staple, not just in Annie decks, but a lot of other like Naxos tap controlling decks. Like I think you play this in like a lot of Swain decks, for example. I don't think you play this in Ezreal Kaelin though, because it's not 3 mana, obviously. So you probably don't want to sacrifice the fact that Scorched Earth can boost up your Tri-Beam. But who knows? Maybe it is good enough, right? So let's move on to the other cards for Annie. So there is a 1-mana landmark for Naxos, Ravenblue Conservatory. Countdown 10, create a Tybalt in hand. I advance 1 round for each fast, slow, or skill you have played this game. So the fact that he says you have played this game means that this kind of like levels up in the deck in a way, no? Like it means that you don't have to actually draw it on turn 1. It means that even if you draw it later, as long as you have been using fast, slow, or skills, this will automatically really have like, advance 5 rounds right off the bat, right? So instead of countdown 10, now it's only countdown 5. Now, the payoff for the slam mark is Tybalt, who's a 6 mana, 6/6 with Overwhelm. When he's summoned, grant allies everywhere +1, so right away you're buffing all your allies. And for the rest of the game, all of your spells and skills deal 1 extra damage. So every single burn spell, every single skill, like Annie, for example, right? Annie herself will do an additional point of damage. This is really good as an effect that just stays on forever. My concern is that this card might come down a little bit too late into the game to make a difference, right? So let's say you play Raven. Let's say you don't even play it with turn 1. Let's say you start with Annie, right? So you start with Annie in turn 1, and you have maybe some 2 drops and then a 3 drop, all that have skills, or you have slow spells to be able to trigger this. This is not gonna come down until at least, let's say, like turn 6 or 7. And that's when you want to be like fully counted down. I guess you could cheat it out. I guess you could have some combo decks where you do like stuff like Bazillion, countdown cards that reduce the countdown, that advance your landmarks. That could be very interesting. That's something that we can explore. Like Shurima Natsus, where you actually just try to win by getting this trigger as soon as possible. But even if you get this trigger before turn 6, Tybalt itself is 6 mana card. So you're gonna play him on turn 6, which can't. I think by turn 6 you already like either have already used most of your stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's really good. I think Tybalt is really good. I just think he might come in a little bit too late into the game. So I'm very hesitant to say that he will see play, but he might. We'll have to see. Let's move on to Mana Soul Student. So Mana Soul Student is a 3 mana 3/2 for Naxos. And each round, the first time you play a fast, slow, or skill, he plays Magic Embers, which is a skill that deals 1 to the enemy Naxos. So this is where the combo goes in, especially with like the conservatory, and also with Annie, right? Because remember, Annie needs to set 6 skills or slow speed spells. So let's say you have Mana Soul Student in the field, and you play Annie. and you attack with Annie. Not only is the Annie skill triggering, but you also get the Magic Embers on top of it. So you're like burning the Nexus by 1, you're progressing the level up on the Annie, etc. So it ends up being really good at turbo leveling your conservatory, turbo leveling your Annie, and things like that. I do not like the fact that he only has 2 health. I think this is like an engine that you want to stay in the field for as long as possible. And with 2 health, I think it's way too vulnerable to stuff like Mystic Shot. So I don't think it's gonna be that great. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I think the fact that it's a 3/2 makes me very hesitant to say that it's gonna be good, because this is something that you want to just keep in your back line. Yeah, you probably don't want to block with it too much, obviously, etc. So we'll see how that kind of plays out there. So then the next unit from Annie support is Spellslinger, which is a spider, 2 mana, 1/1 with Fearsome. Play, stun an enemy, or if it's already stunned, deal 2/2 instead. So this is more like stun support, kind of like damage, right? So we're going with like this whole theme of like you being able to damage a lot of stun units. By the way, like of course, any deck playing Annie's probably gonna have to play Flock, right? There's no question about it. Except if you're going like full aggro. But it's not about 2-drop. So it reminds me of the Arachnoid Sentry that can stun the unit. The Arachnoid Sentry does have better stats though. It's at 3/2, so it's able to block into most things. And at least be able to present some pressure there. The Spellslinger having Fearsome makes it so it doesn't get chump blocked that easily. I'm hesitant to say if this would be good. I think there's a lot of the better cards that you can play in any deck than this. Like if I'm thinking like Spider Aggro, you have all the better 2-drops in this. If I'm thinking like Control, you rather do something like House Spider where you can go wide instead of relying on the Spellslinger. So I don't expect Spellslinger to be able to see that much play unless I'm like missing something obvious. And then the last one is the Prefect, or the Prefect, however you say it. It's a 3 mana 1/3 with Overwhelm that when you play a fast, slow, or skill, it grants +1/+0. Now this one you might think it's weak, right? Because if you look at like other Natsus cards, you have the 3-mana Natsus card that's a 4/3 overwhelm, and this will require you to do some work to get that to that same stat line. But the idea with the prefit is you can combine it with stuff like Mana Soul Student to kind of turbo get her to like a high attack, right? Because like we talked about, by doing another slow, faster skill, you trigger Magic Ember, so right away you're granting 2 to the prefit. So there's the combo there that you're able to like combine this and just buffer as much as possible. I don't see that actually working out the way that Riot expects it to do. So we'll see how that actually works out. Before we move on, before we finish with Annie, I do want to scroll down and just quickly get a refresher in Jin, because I keep mentioning Jin is because I think Jin is going to be a really good pairing with Annie. So Jin is, for every 3 fast, slow, or skills you play while you behold Jin, so whether you have Jin in your hand or the field, you play a lot of strap, which is another skill as well, right? So this ends up being really, really good, I think. Like, ends up being really, really good. Because he also levels up by seeing 12 fast. I mean, he doesn't have to see it. He just have to have played it. So again, we talk about the combo with the Mana Soul Student, right? Where you're able to just get the extra skill there, which is also going to advance your Jin, and it's also going to just push a lot of pressure, right? Oh man, this is so good with Jin, and that's what I was talking about. Like, I don't see how. Like, I think that's gonna be the package, right? When you like, it's like the 6th Talia of Annie is gonna be Annie and Jin, just because of how much combo potential you have with stuff like Mana Soul Student, with stuff like Annie plus Jin, and being able to just level them up quicker and then take advantage of those stun enemies to be able to damage them. I am concerned though that the deck might be able to run out of value too quickly, run out of resources, and we talked about how this engine is too low static to be able to stay in the field consistently. But honestly, I'm really, really happy with how this package turned out. So in terms of reaction and general feel, like, I know a lot of people might not like the fact that there's another aggro-oriented champion in the game, and they might be very scared of like the tier 1 aggro deck that might be out there. But I think that's okay. I think there's a lot of there's plenty of skill involved sometimes on like burn and aggro decks, and I think Annie adds a different layer to it than what we've seen before. So I'm actually very happy with Annie, and maybe I'm biased because Annie's one of my favorite champions from League of Legends. I used to play Annie all the time, especially in Earth. But I'm really, I don't know. I'm really, really happy with Annie and how she turned out. So I think this champion is the best one of the expansion to me. I think I will rank it like Annie in terms of like how excited I am for them. I think I will rank it Annie on top. I think I will put Bar in the bottom, and I think Jin and Ilaoi kind of flip flop to me between 2 and 3. So I think I'm really, really excited for Annie and like her play style and how that ends up turning out. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's my general reactions to Annie. Let's move on to the cards that we reveal on Saturday from the Variety Day. So let's talk about the variety cards that we release on Saturday, or reveal on Saturday. I don't know where I keep saying release. So let's start with Haunted Tomb. So Haunted Tomb is a 3-mana landmark from Shadow Isles that has countdown to revive the strongest dead ally. Now, a lot of people are not hiding this card, and I think it actually has some potential. I think obviously being able to revive the strongest ally is really strong in decks like Shadow Isles. The way that I see this is it could allow me for a potential really good open attack, right? So let's say, for example, that I lose my Hecarim. I can play the Haunted Tomb on my attack turn, right? So then it counts down to 1 on the opponent's turn, then counts down to 0 on my turn, letting me revive that Hecarim and be able to open attack. Those are kind of like the copium combos that I can think of, but I think there are some combo potentials with Haunted Tomb, and I don't think it's actually that bad of a card. Do I expect it to see a lot of play? Absolutely not. I think the decks that this card could be good in are decks that are not really that good in the meta in general. So I don't expect it to really be like a huge reason for you to play the game. Now, however, this does combine with stuff like They Who Endure, for example, because of how they changed the way that graveyard works. Now it takes into account the highest attack in the graveyard. So it could work. It could work because it could revive it So yeah, but again, combo piece, and I think it could be useful in certain things, so we'll see how that goes. Bakai Witherclaw. So there is a 5 mana unit from Shurima with 5/4 stat line. When an enemy is challenged, and when it says challenge, it means that either you challenge it because your unit has challenger, or you can pull it because the enemy unit has vulnerable. It counts both. Give him -2 this round, -2 power. That's not bad, but I don't think it's that good either, especially because this is coming down on turn 5. I don't think it's gonna be that good. I think there's other 5 drops that I'd rather play instead of this. Comes a little bit too late into the game for not enough of a benefit for what we're looking at to do. So I think this unit's not gonna see a lot of play. So let's move on to the next one. Dragon Ambush. It's a 5 mana slow Ionian spell. Start a free attack with 2 Dragon Links. Now, this card I think is a little bit weird to evaluate, right? So it's 5 mana slow spell, right? And you start a free attack with the Dragon Link. So let's say that you play this in like a Serelia. That means that you can also get value by having the Dias on the field, or having a Seer on the field, and be able to also attack with a Sand Soldier. It can also combine in like an ephemeral deck to be able to let you attack with a Shark Chariot. So there are 2 synergies there that I can think of right off the bat. The benefit of doing this card is that because the Dragon Links have lifesteal, you pretty much healing 4, right? You're healing 4 right off the bat, unless the opponent removes the Dragon Links. If they spend mana removing the Dragon Links, I think you're also okay with that. So you're healing 4, and you're pushing 4 damage, because most times the opponent's not going to block your Dragon Link because they're ephemeral units, right? So they don't want to trade their actual units for ephemeral units. So I think it could actually be a pretty good card. I actually think it could be a really, really good card, just because of the fact that the Dragon Links do have lifesteal, and they're ephemeral. So they can combine with certain decks, like the Hecarim set deck that we posted the other day, or with a Serelia, right? I see really one of the worst matchups is aggro, and this kind of allows them to be able to heal for 4. Now, it is kind of like a big tempo loss though, right? Because you spend 5 mana to heal 4, and you don't keep any unit in your field. And then the opponent can just refill their board with more units and just do a ton of damage to you next turn. So it can be good, but it can also be bad depending on the situation. So I think this card is the most interesting one, or one of the most interesting ones, from the variety reveal that was done on Saturday. Let's move on to Dragon's Roost. So this is a 3 mana landmark from Targon. Countdown 3, summon the ambitious bots. So that's the 6 mana dragon that when it strikes, it can create another dragon in your hand, if I remember correctly, when it kills another unit or something like that. So for 3 mana, you kind of get it for free, right? 3 turns later. This because this is in Target, you can combine it with stuff like, I guess, Talia. Like, let's say like Talia Malphite. You might be able to just duplicate this, right? But I think Talia would rather just use the Soul Spire instead of the Dragon's Roost. I think the Soul Spire is probably much better for Talia than this card is. So I don't see this seeing any play. Even in like a pure dragon deck, you're playing 3 mana and not doing anything on turn 3. Seems a little odd. Seems a little bit odd, especially if you draw this later into the game. It feels even worse. Like if you draw it early on, it feels good, but if you see this in mid to late game, it feels really bad. So I don't think this card is gonna be good at all or play. Now the art though, the art is top tier. Like this art is amazing. Let's move on to another Targon card. So this is a 6 mana burst speed card called Celestial Trifecta. It lets you invoke 3 times. So you're gonna invoke a low cost Celestial, a medium, and a high cost Celestial. Now, the low cost Celestials are the ones that cost 0 to 3. The medium are the 4 to 6, and the high are the 7 to 10. So, you get 3 cards from here. It's pretty much a 6 mana draw 3. So for 6 mana, you're drawing 3. And some of those cards could be really, really powerful, as we know from Celestial being like really value engine. I think this card is actually really, really good. Like, I think this card is actually really, really good. The problem is that obviously you have to find like a good turn to do it. It's not like Star Shaping that is able to heal you. This doesn't heal you, so you're kind of losing a lot of tempo when you use this. So I think the hardest part about this card is going to be finding the turns when it actually makes sense to use it and when it doesn't make sense to use it. But I could see this at least being a 1 or even a 2 of in a lot of target invoke type of deck styles. And especially because you can combine this with an Allegiance target deck, right? And be able to reduce the cost of all the cards that you get. So even get a lot of value from the Allegiance 4 draw from target. I like it. I like it. I think this card has potential. Wings of the Cryophoenix. It's a 7 mana slow speed spell. Deal 3 to all units, so both enemy and you. Enlighten, you can heal your Nexus 3. So if you do this before turn 10, you're only dealing 3. If you do it after turn 10, you're able to also heal 3 on top of dealing 3 to all the units. I don't think this card is very good. Now, it's weird because it's really expensive at 7 mana, right? Avalanche is expensive as well, and Avalanche deal 2 to all the unit, and it costs 4. So this is technically better than doing 2 Avalanche, to be honest. Well, no, because 2 Avalanche deal 4. So I'd rather use 2 Avalanche than me using 1 Cryophoenix. But at the same time, that's 2 cards versus just 1 card. I just don't see I don't think this card is gonna be good. I think Failure has better AoE, right? With Rabin. I still think this is better than I still think Avalanche is better than this, even though it's only dealing 2. So I don't see a room for this to fit in a deck like that, because I'd rather just play Rabin and Avalanche. And if you're playing Shadow Isles, you'd rather play stuff like Well in addition to the Rabin and the Avalanche instead of playing something like this. I guess the one that I compare to is Icequake, right? Icequake is 8 mana, slow, that also deals 3 to all the units, but and also reduces the attack by 2. Now, obviously, Icequake costs 1 more mana. I just don't see 7 mana being the difference between, being played or not. And then the last card is Strategic Execution. It's a 4 mana slow speed spell that stuns 2 enemies, or you can spend 6 mana to summon a Legion General. This card, I think, is pretty good as well. Obviously, the best card to synergize this with is something like Yasuo, but we also do see a lot of cards that we reveal in Noxus, like with Jin and Annie, that can also take advantage of a unit being stunned to be able to like put a lot of pressure on them. This is also a 4 mana stun too, so you can technically stun like 2 blockers if you needed to. I think this card might see play. It might not be good though. I don't think it's like a busted card, but I think it might see play. Maybe like a one-off in certain decks. But yeah, I mean that's it for the cards, So together with this reveal from Saturday and the Annie reveal, that means that we have gotten almost 95% of the cards. The only cards that are not revealed yet are the cards that Jin destroyed during his interactive reveal a couple Fridays ago. So there should be still a couple more new cards that are released tomorrow with the patch notes. So we'll do like a quick reaction to those and then start with our patch note breakdown. But man, this expansion looks I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited about the expansion. I think my only concern about the expansion is that I really just see 3 archetypes, right? So I see like Jin, Annie, Bar, and then Ilaoi, right? So even though it's 4 champions, you're really only getting 3 different variety of decks. Although I guess you can always just split Annie and Jin and be able to explore them in different ways. But I think they are very close together, that I think the best decks with Annie and Jin is going to be with them together, or with them going pure aggro and completely ignoring the fat of everything else. So I do think the best Annie and Jin deck is going to be them together, or just pure aggro where it doesn't matter. So aside from that, though, obviously we have Bar with the buffs, and we have Ilaoi with just like a mid-range champion, kind of like Viego. Well, I guess Viego is a little bit different. So I'm very excited to try all of this out. It looks really fun. So yeah, gonna be looking forward to that on Wednesday. As always, if you like the content, please make sure to like the video below. You can also subscribe to us. We post LOR videos every single day. And like I keep talking, tomorrow expect a patch note breakdown. And I'm also going to give you a bunch of new decks for you to try out once the expansion drops on Wednesday. If you also like our content outside of YouTube, you can find us on Twitch at Sirturmund. We stream 3 to 4 times a week. And you can also find us on Discord and Twitter. The links to those are both in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again tomorrow.